So, hello und willkommen, hello and welcome, and thank you for joining me, Silky Learn German, for today's lesson. So in today's session you're going to learn how to ask someone how they're feeling and how to respond. Okay, so today's lesson is going to be in 3 parts. So in the first part we're going to learn how to actually ask the question, so how are you? The second part is going to be lots of adjectives, so how do you actually respond and tell someone how you're feeling. And then the third part is going to be, if someone has asked you, how do you ask back? So how do you say, for example, and you? Okay, so the first part then, so how do you ask someone how they're feeling? And the important thing obviously in German is that you do need to be aware of whether it's formal or informal. So whether you are speaking maybe to someone you don't know, whether you're speaking to someone at work, or whether you are talking to a friend, someone you know well, etc. So if you didn't know someone well, so if it was a formal sort of exchange, you would say, wie geht es Ihnen? Okay, so it's wie geht es Ihnen? Okay, so if you do know someone well, if it's a friend, if it's an informal exchange, you would say, wie geht es dir? So the only difference is, rather than saying Ihnen, it's dir. So I'll do those two again. So it's wie geht es Ihnen? Wie geht es dir? Both of them mean how are you? A sort of maybe more casual way of saying it, not impolite, just a little bit more casual, would simply be to ask wie geht's? Wie geht's? So I'll run through these again and I'll always try to allow a pause so that you can repeat. Okay, so it's wie geht es Ihnen? Wie geht es dir? Wie geht's? Okay, so if you've been asked this question, you'd obviously want to respond. Now you can either just respond by saying the adjective, so by saying how you are. So if someone says wie geht es Ihnen, you could simply reply with ausgezeichnet. If you're excellent, if you're feeling really good. Ausgezeichnet. Sehr gut would be very good. Sehr gut. Good would be gut. It's gut. If you're feeling okay, you can either just say okay, or you could say es geht. So that one would be okay, or you can say es geht. If you're not very well, so if you want to say bad, you would say schlecht. So it's that sort of CH which is sort of at the back of your throat, sort of at the top. Schlecht. Okay? If you're not very well, so if you want to say not well or not good, you would say nicht gut. So again it's that CH. Nicht gut. If you're really not well and you want to say awful or, terrible, you can say miserabel. Miserabel. So I'll run through these again and I'll always allow a pause. So we had ausgezeichnet, sehr gut, gut, okay, es geht, schlecht, nicht gut, miserabel. Now you might obviously want to say thanks. So someone says how are you, wie geht es Ihnen, you can say sehr gut and then you want to say thanks. And the word for that, you probably know this, but it is danke. So you would simply say sehr gut, danke. Now you could just, as I said, answer with the adjective, but you might want to have a slightly more comprehensive sentence. So you might want to say I am well, I am okay. In which case you would either say mir geht es, followed by the adjective. So for example, mir geht es gut, mir geht es gut. Or you could shorten it and you can say mir geht's gut. Okay, so it's mir geht es or mir geht's. Okay? So imagine then you've been asked this question, you've responded, so you might want to come back with a question, what about you and you? And that would simply be, again, here you need to be careful again whether they addressed you formally or informally. So if someone asked you, wie geht es Ihnen? You would come back and you would say, und Ihnen? So for instance, they've asked you, wie geht es Ihnen? And you said, sehr gut, danke, and you would then come back and say, und Ihnen? If it was an informal question, so someone said to you, wie geht es dir? You would answer, you would say, gut, danke, und dir. So I'll run through these again. Und Ihnen, und Ihnen, und dir, und dir. Okay, so that concludes today's very short session, but I think it's an important one because it's obviously one of the first things when you have interactions with German speakers that you might want to know, that you need to know, how are you, answering it, etc. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you found it useful. I hope you learned something. Obviously you can always rewind, listen to it again, etc. But vielen Dank für heute und auf Wiedersehen. Tschüss. And please remember to like and subscribe.